Namaste. We'll just begin in a few minutes, few seconds to be precise. Namaste. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 8th and the final session of Crafting a Sustainable Career conducted by SIF Group. Today's session is really special in many ways. First of all, today, as the Government of India has designated 7th August as the National Handloom Day, the weavers of our country, we pay a salute to them. And of course, today, Neeraj Chopra has made us very proud by winning a gold for the country. And of course, our SIF team is very proud to have successfully conducted 8 successful sessions for crafting a sustainable career. Welcome each one of you to the final session. We have our main speakers today. It's a celebration of our successful career, as I'm saying, of our session. We have an informative session from Microsoft US on cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, a promising career of now and the near future. We have with us Dr. Seema Pillai from KHDA, who will be updating us on the Dubai initiatives in the field of education and technology. Speaking about our first speaker, Dr. Arun Gururajan, for the evening. Welcome, Dr. Arun. A small profile about Dr. Arun. Dr. Arun is a principal data science manager at the Security and Compliance Group, which supports a broad range of consumer and enterprise security and compliance offerings. Dr. Arun leads a data science team, which is located across Redmond, USA and Hyderabad, focusing on protecting customers and users from social engineering attacks, that is phishing, intended at tricking the user into giving up his or her credentials and sensitive information. His team of scientists build and deploy advanced ML or AI that routinely protect users across multiple entry points, platforms, and devices against hundreds of thousands of cyber attacks every day. In addition to product-related ML work, Dr. Arun and his team focus on actively collaborating with MSR on forward-looking research and innovation projects. Current research and innovation focus involves areas such as privacy preserving ML and tiny ML models. Dr. Arun's expertise, in addition to technical leadership and strategy, is in the areas of general ML, computer vision, and NLP. Dr. Arun has his MS and PhD in electrical engineering, both of which focused on applied computer vision problems across industrial and healthcare domains. His current and past work has resulted in multiple awards, publications, and patents. Before I request Dr. Arun to take over the session, a small request to our students. If you have questions for Dr. Arun, kindly post your questions here. You can see them in the chat box. And of course, like usual, we'll have a quiz at the end of the session. So do stay with us till the end. Over to you, Dr. Arun. Welcome.
Thanks for those kind words, Radhika. So if I may, could I share my screen?
Yes, sure.
Let me know if you folks are able to see my screen.
Yes, doctor, we are able to see it.
All right, perfect. So good evening, everyone. Very excited to be here with all of you. And for the next 25 minutes or so, I will spend time talking about AI and cybersecurity. Would like to especially thank Ms. Sudha for inviting me here for this occasion. And without further ado, let me just dive in. There's quite a bit of content that I want to cover today. So let's dive into it. So usually just putting a usual disclaimer, all the opinions expressed in the following slides are my own and do not necessarily represent my current or future employers. So let's start with some background about myself. So currently I head the data science division for Microsoft Defender for Office, which is one of the key Microsoft security products that protects users against email-based cybersecurity threats. And excuse me, somebody had a question. Okay. Just for context, the work that my teams do protect thousands of companies and millions of users against email-based phishing and spam attacks. On a typical month, we protect users against almost around like billions of spam emails. A little bit about my background. So as Ms. Radhika mentioned, I have my master's and PhD in machine learning with focus on computer vision for industrial and biomedical applications. And the way I started out was primarily, through my interest in math. Right from my high school, some of the things that really captured my interests were calculus, probability, and statistics. And this actually carried me through my undergrad. I immediately got engaged in topics such as digital signal processing and then image processing, and then went on to kind of like build my career in that area. And now it's 15 years thus far in research and development. And I've built out several data science products across US national labs and some startups as well as bigger companies. Let's dive into the agenda for today. So I'll start with an introduction to cybersecurity. It's just going to be like a quick whirlwind tour of cybersecurity, starting with what and why. And then I'll talk about how industry talks about different layers of cyber attacks. And we call it as a cyber kill chain. Then for the purposes of today's discussion, I'll focus on a certain section of the kill chain and talk about how AI plays a role in protecting against those phishing attacks. And following this, I'll touch upon an important open area of research and then talk about the issues there. And finally, I'll close out by talking about what you need to do now to build out a career in AI. So that's going to be our agenda for today. So let's dive in. What is cybersecurity and why is it important? So any device that is connected to the internet is at risk of getting compromised through the execution of malicious code. So think about your desktops, laptops, mobile phones. Nowadays, it gets more serious than that. With the advent of IoT, that is Internet of Things, a lot of devices can now connect to the internet. So it could be your refrigerator, your car, your security camera, your cooking range. All of these could execute malicious code and could be controlled by attackers. It is not just a loss of data, but also think about the physical harm that an attacker could potentially cause. Now think about an attacker manipulating your cooking range and gas supply, right, through the injection of malicious code. So this gets very serious with the advent of IoT. So to give you an idea of the financial scale of losses caused by cybercrime, think about the statement. The global losses from cybercrime in 2020 was $1 trillion. Just let that number sink in. It's a huge number. Just to give you some context, $1 trillion is, it's almost like 1.5% of our global GDP, right? That's huge. And if you've been following the news recently, probably like earlier this year, you might have read about ransomware attacks and heard about how critical pieces of the nation's infrastructure were taken down. So before I get into that, let me quickly tell you what ransomware is. So ransomware is, it's a kind of like an evolving form of malware that is designed to encrypt devices encrypt files on your device. So essentially it renders any files on the system unusable. And then what the bad actors do is then demand ransom in exchange for decryption, right? And they often, ransomware actors often threaten to sell or leak exfiltrated data, right? If the ransom is not paid. So that's what ransomware is. It's one of the serious threats, and that's one of the threats that we are heavily focused on. So let me quickly talk about the Colonial Pipeline attack. It's one of the largest pipeline operators in the United States and provides roughly 45% of the East Coast fuel, including gasoline, diesel, heating oil, jet fuel, and military supplies. So you can see the map of that oil pipeline. It goes all the way from Texas to New York, transporting almost 100 million gallons of fuel per day. And so bad actors hit Colonial Pipeline with a ransomware attack, and effectively they just took out a critical piece of the infrastructure of the nation. And this is not just gas pipelines, but also extends to other key areas such as healthcare. When major healthcare organizations are hit, the impact on lives becomes more tangible. Many life-saving surgeries cannot be carried out, as now all the patient records have been encrypted. And the reason why criminals do it is because it's become a big economic ecosystem. Ransomware, for example, it's a very complex attack, but now you have things like ransomware as a service. So a criminal with little to no background in cybersecurity could just sign up for the service and launch a ransomware attack against a company. And so building defenses against all of these attacks end to end across all types of devices is what constitutes cybersecurity. And as you can already sense, it's an extremely complex problem to solve. So before we dive into the details, I want to kind of explain to you what cyber kill chain is. Right? Let's take a step back. In order for organizations to build solutions for cybersecurity, there are two key things we need that we should be able to do. One is we need to think like an attacker. This is almost like a chess game, where you need to think about what your opponent is going to do several moves ahead. The second item is that organizations should be able to speak a standardized language when talking about different stages of a cyber attack, right? And, we don't need to look very far in order to solve these problems. We actually the solution comes from how a military attack is conducted on an enemy. Let's say you're going to attack a certain target or a certain enemy. What do? You just don't go in and storm the fortress, right? You first start out by doing recon. So essentially, you might want to get information about your opponent's territory, his terrain, forces, and identify potential weak spots. Maybe you find out that a certain zone is highly vulnerable to airstrikes, and taking it out would weaken the opponent significantly. So what do? You prepare that your weapons appropriately, and you mount them on fighter planes and launch an attack. So that constitutes the weaponization and delivery. So you first start out by doing reconnaissance, then you weaponize, and then you deliver, right? This could be an airstrike. Once you breach their fortress, now you set up their base there, because you've already exploited that weakness, and now you set up your base there, and then you use that base to sync with your central command. Your central command could be your home base, and then you use that base station to communicate with your central command and get instructions. So that is what is called as command and control, right? Or C2. And then once you have that, you can kind of start moving across different bases, expanding your the regions that you've conquered, and carry out whatever activities that you want. So this is at a very high level, this is how you carry out an attack. And it's no different in the world of cybersecurity. What I just told you is what is called as a kill chain, right? And a US defense contractor, Lockheed Martin, they proposed the same concept for cybersecurity in 2011, and aptly termed it as the cyber kill chain. So cyber kill chain helps us understand the end-to-end view of a cyber attack. So just like what I mentioned during a recon, remember recon is the phase where you're spying on your adversary, on the target that you want to attack, right? So in this phase, the attacker observes, explores, and maps the network, the users, and its devices. And this allows the intruder to understand the host naming conventions, network hierarchies, identify the operating systems that are being used, locate potential payloads, and acquire intelligence to make informed moves. To summarize, during recon, the attacker typically searches publicly available sources to identify as much information as possible about the target. And this could include information about the target's IP address range, business operations, supply chain, employees, executives, and technology utilized. So the goal at the recon stage is to develop sufficient intelligence to increase the chances of a successful attack. The next stage is weaponization and delivery, which is the initial attack vector. And this could be through a variety of techniques. So typically this could be done by sending like a phishing email, which is an email that appears to come from a trusted source and makes you, click on a link. So once you click on a link, you're hooked, the vulnerability in your machine will be exploited and the malware gets installed. So once the malware gets installed, then the same stage, C2 happens, command and control. The malware on your machine starts talking to the attacker's server and starts downloading malicious code, right? And then once this happens, the malware could start laterally moving to other machines. And once they start moving across the machine, typically they want to kind of get to the primary source of intel. And once they get to that, the attackers could be exfiltrating sensitive information out of the machine. It could be posted on some public sites, or it could be held for ransom. That's always some motive for the attackers. And so whatever I showed you right here, whatever is I mentioned here, this is just one manifestation of a kill chain. So there could be several kill chains, each step, for example, you could do recon in a number of ways. You could deliver your attack through a number of different techniques. Phishing is one of those. So in fact, it's so important that we have an organization called MITRE that has clearly mapped out the different variations of this kill chain. So I'll send you this the link to this deck, and you can click on this link. So you'll in fact, when you click on the MITRE attack framework, you'll see a matrix that has a bunch of what we call as TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures, that shows different variations of the skill chain. In fact, a lot of security vendors, Microsoft included, are ranked based on this MITRE framework. So the reason why, again, to summarize the slide, the reason why we kind of talk about the cyber kill chain is that a lot of security vendors, including Microsoft, try to build layered defenses, meaning that we try to protect against every step that I showed you in this kill chain. So we try to build AI solutions. So for the purpose of this talk, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scope my discussion to the weaponization part, weaponization and delivery part, and specifically focus on phishing attacks. And I'll show you how we can build AI to kind of stop these phishing attacks. And it's really important to stop it at the delivery stage, because that's your first line of defense, right? Once that fails, the attacker is already in your system, and then it's post breach, right? So now all your post breach solutions have to come into play, which is good, but you really want to prevent the attacker from getting into your system in the first place. So let me focus on the weaponization and delivery, and I'll talk about how AI is used in the context of phishing. So as I mentioned, phishing. Did somebody have a question? Okay. As I mentioned, phishing is a common initial attack vector in the kill chain. And what phishing is it's what we call as a social engineering attack. So here the attackers, they try to deceive users by masquerading as a legitimate entity. So for example, I'm sure many of you would have had this experience. You see a mail that seems to come from a trusted entity. It could come from either one of your friends, or it could be one of the organizations that you are familiar with. And then they kind of ask you to click a link. And typically when you click a link, it opens up into a login page. And then once you put in your credentials, then that's it, you are hooked. the attacker has effectively got your credentials. Or sometimes when you click a link, it could be a download that's happening on your machine, and malicious code could be executed. So typically, like a phishing email looks like this. Like it tends to use words like, okay, Microsoft account, your password has expired, please renew your password. And then when you click on that, typically, there is this renewal link that's there. And when you click on that, it typically leads to like a login page. This is a Microsoft login page. If you've used such login pages, you will see that the background is fairly common. This is what Microsoft typically uses for its background. And, like you have the Microsoft logo here. And so the user has no specific motive to suspect, that this is something phony is going on. So let's dive a little more into understanding what are the components of phishing email. So typically you will have an email like this. And, I've highlighted some of the typical characteristics. So you'll first you will see like a fake domain. So, this is not Office 365, but, this is some other probably attacker owned domain, right? Like, so this is definitely a fake domain. And the attackers might insert like a brand logo to kind of like give the email some sense of legitimacy. And since it's coming from an attacker and not a legitimate source, it's not uncommon for the email to have some spelling errors. And, there will be some grammatical errors, as you can see here, and some a fake email signature. And there will be a link as usual, because, the attacker has to carry out this whole thing end to end. And if you click on this link, then it leads to this page, which looks like an authentic Microsoft login page. So this is kind of like the general setup of a phishing email. And usually the content of the phishing email would be urging the users to do something. Hey, like your account is expired, or your password has been reset. So it always creates a sense of urgency, and the attackers want you to do something. They want you to click the link. And these are some of the signals that we typically tend to leverage in our AI. So what we do is, as a first step, we extract all of the signals that I talked to you about. And here is where the art of machine learning comes into play. So we need to, it's good that we could eyeball and talk about all of these different signals. But the key thing is we need to find the right mathematical representation for these features to be effective in an AI system. So for example, we can take the brand image. So here we have an Outlook image, and we can map it to like a sequence of numbers. So for those of you who have had high school physics, mechanics, you'll know that, like a sequence of numbers is nothing but a vector. And we want to take this image, we want to map it to a vector of numbers. And we want to see if that vector is close to any of the known brands. And so for this, you need to use some kind of a similarity metric, and then you start thinking about okay, what is the similarity metric that I should be using? Is it Euclidean distance, or Manhattan distance, or cosine distance? What is the metric that I should be using? So, let me guarantee you a lot of these things that I'm talking about, you will learn in your high school math and physics. So for those of you interested in a career in AI, please pay close attention to your high school math and high school physics. So, mapping, extracting, getting a mathematical representation for these different signals, coming up with similarity metrics, and training a machine learning model. So all of this is embedded in the math that you are studying right now. And so coming back to this, so we extract all types of different signals, and I call it as features. So in machine learning terminology, we call it as features. It's some mathematical representation of your signal. And then we pass it on to an AI inferencing engine. And the AI inferencing engine could have different components built in. So it could have a computer vision component where it takes a look at all of the images in the email and tries to kind of infer something about those images. That's the goal of a computer vision system. Then you could have natural language processing. So for example, it could look at the written content of the email. It could see if like, hey, does this content look unusual? Like, are there spelling mistakes? Is this different from the usual style that a particular sender would write? So that's what natural language processing system tries to do. And then your model could also have a lot of numerical features. So for example, like we could have a feature that thinks about like, hey, is there an attachment in this email? It could be a binary feature. The answer could be just yes or no, right? And so such numerical features could be handled by a general ML algorithm. So typically an AI inferencing engine could have one or more of these components. And I can certainly tell you that the AI that we build has all of these components, because we need to look at this email holistically in order to make an inference about it. So the AI inferencing engine, it's trained on, like we train it on millions of good and bad emails. And because we cannot be like telling the system that, hey, if it contains a fake domain and this ID, if you start writing rules, you'll soon run out, right? Like you can literally write millions of rules. So you give all this data to the AI, you give millions of examples, both good and bad emails, and you let the AI learn what are the signals that it should look, what are the combinations of signals that it needs to look in order to differentiate a good versus a bad email. So in a nutshell, this is the problem that my team of ML scientists focus on. So they look at all of these holistically, and they come up with ways to mathematically map these signals into usable features, and then they build out the AI inferencing engine, which has all of these different components. So with that, I hope that gives you a high-level idea of like what we try to do in terms of blocking these phishing attacks. Let me then move on to like an open area of research. It's called adversarial machine learning. So the problem here is that, unfortunately, my team is not the only one that uses machine learning. The attackers use a lot of AI and machine learning as well. And what the attackers do is they try to design inputs that evade our machine learning models. And these inputs are termed as adversarial inputs. So I'll give an example to kind of show the point. So for example, like this is an image of a panda. Like you just need to take one look and you can say that this is a panda. And here we have a computer vision system that has said that this is a panda with around 57% confidence. Now, in the area of adversarial machine learning, what you could do is, to this image of a panda, you can add some cleverly crafted noise such that, like the output is not distorted too much. Like if you look at this output image, you still think that it's a panda. I mean, any human would immediately say it's still a panda, but the machine learning algorithm would say this is a gibbon. It's a monkey with 99% confidence, right? So this is an adversarial input. There's a whole field behind how do you generate this noise that makes an innocuous panda image into like something that's totally different. And some more examples, like, so you can see digits, the same concept. So here you can see that it's a digit recognition system. So these are zeros and threes. We can easily figure that out by adding cleverly crafted noise. Now you can make the system think that this is actually the number 5 and this is actually the number 8. And another one in the area of traffic signals, which I hope you start to kind of realize the seriousness of this, right? So you can manipulate the system into thinking that all of these traffic signals represent something different. Think about you driving going in a self-driving car, and it just so happens that the lighting conditions, the viewing angle for your camera is all different, such that a stop sign now shows us something different for the computer vision system in your car. It could have serious consequences. So this adversarial machine learning is a key topic that we are focusing on, because not only in cybersecurity, but in a lot of different areas. So obviously, like whenever we build ML models, we try to harden our defenses against these type of adversarial attacks. And I'll pass on the link to my slides, and you can click and see the work from my broader team on adversarial machine learning. And in fact, it's so important that, like Microsoft is hosting a competition. It's called Machine Learning Security Aviation Competition. Coincidentally, this competition just started yesterday. So Microsoft is putting a bunch of models, and it's telling the community of ML scientists, hey, come up with your ideas and break these models. So a person who is most successful in breaking these models will essentially win this competition. So again, like I've given the link there, and I'll pass on the slides. So you can feel free to take a look at that. So quickly want to talk about an actual adversarial phishing attack. So here you see the top image that you see is actually the legitimate site, and the bottom image is an attacker crafted site. So for a user who is typically used to logging in, like these two might not seem very different, but for a computer vision system, things could be like very, very different, right? It might not know that this site is imitating this one. So for example, if you can see the logo, the attacker has clearly modified the logo so that, like the attacker knows that there's probably some kind of a logo detection system that we use. So he has modified the logo here. And you can see this blue background. So you can see that now that the blue background is textured. There are subtle variations in visual elements, which do not really like perturb us, but it can totally throw off our computer vision models. And then, like having some kind of a dummy image, if we try to do some kind of a template matching between these two pages, that would fail because now we have this big image here. And again, to answer, he probably thinks that, oh, they probably put the lock icon to show that the page is secure, but that's not the intent. The intent is to throw off our models, by inserting these kind of adversarial images. So this is a clear example of like an adversary trying to evade our systems. So with that said, let me move on to the final part of my presentation. How do I start to build my career in AI? So I feel that there are a few basic pillars that you can start to master right now in your high school. First one of those is calculus, and I'll tell you why calculus is important. At the end of the day, most of our problems are framed as optimization problems. Like we want to optimize some kind of a loss function. Think about your maxima and minima concepts that you learn in your calculus, right? So we want to either minimize or maximize the objective function, depending on how we frame it. And a lot of you, I'm sure, would have heard about deep learning. It's become a buzzword, right? Like everybody would have heard about deep learning. And deep learning, in fact, is based on an algorithm called the back propagation algorithm, which is essentially a way to kind of like train the weights of your neural network, right? So essentially, you take the error in the outermost layer of the neural network and you propagate the error in a backward manner to kind of like tune your weights. And this, in essence, uses the chain rule for differentiation, right? Like, so that's all it is. If you actually go through the math, it's essentially the chain rule in action. So this you learn in your 11th grade or 12th grade. I don't know which grade you learn it, but I'm pretty sure in your high school, you'll be learning these concepts. And the computer vision problems that I talked about, like a lot of these computer vision problems typically involve discrete differentiation, partial differential equations, to identify interesting areas in an image. So all of these are things that you would learn. Most of it, I would say, at least 95% of what I mentioned, you would learn in your high school. The other thing is linear algebra. So here, theory of matrices, super important. I know a lot of you would probably, like, if I give you a couple of equations, you can solve the system of equations, right? It's something that we routinely do in high school. And it's so important in the area of artificial intelligence. Basically, the essence of machine learning is to learn a function from your data, right? So fitting a complex function to a set of points is super important. And so you need to know when solutions exist and when things can go out of whack. And all of that is what you learn in linear algebra. It's one of the key pillars for AI. Theory of matrices is, again, super important. Just like how you decompose a number into its factor, decomposing a matrix into its constituents is very important. And again, I won't get into the details. I'm running out of time, but I wanted to certainly drive these points. Oops. Probability and statistics, a lot of things that we use from this area, sampling, for example. So usually we cannot we cannot train our AI on every bad email that's there in this world, right? Like we need to take a good sample. And so what we try to do is pick a reasonable sample so that whatever we learn from that sample, we can generalize to a broader population. And then causal inference. Let's say you build a model and that model leads to a reduction in phishing attacks. Now, can you make that statement? Can you say that the reduction in phishing attacks is caused due to my model? Or is it because the attackers are not doing anything much this month? So we don't know, right? Like, so how do you make these causal inferences? So that's again falls in this area. And then let's say I just gave an example for hypothesis testing. So let's say your old model produces an accuracy of 98.5% and our new model produces 98%. So is that a real drop or is it due to sampling error, right? Like, so statistical hypothesis testing, very, very important. And again, like this is something that you'll study in your probability and stats. And finally, computer science, right? Like, so you obviously need to be able to implement whatever you learn mathematically, right? Like, so what I would suggest here is pay close attention to data structures and algorithms. And I certainly encourage you to become good in a programming language. I've put R and Python, but that's not necessary, right? Like just learn general concepts of programming languages and learn data structures and algorithms. And finally, I'm sure you'd have heard many speakers reinforce this, like the mindset is very important. Curiosity and willingness to learn, learning from failures, and again, like practicing. So all of that is very important for you to kind of like develop expertise. So with that, I would like to close my talk. Thanks a lot again to Science India Forum for having me here. And I'll open the floor up to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arun. That was really enlightening by you. I mean, so much of information. We usually hear the word phishing, but so much of information related to it has been really overwhelming. Thank you. Now, the questions, there are a lot of questions from our viewers. I will take up one or two and pass on the rest to you so that you can answer them to the chat.
Sure.
So, our first one is, what is the scope of ethical hacking as a career in the future? What do I need to learn to be an ethical hacker?
So for this, are you able to see me?
Yes.
Right, let me just...
If you can stop the screen share, then you'd be able to view better.
I somehow lost control of my Zoom. Okay, let me
that's fine.
Stop the screen share.
Yeah, we can view.
All right. So ethical hacking. So I would say the first thing is like building domain expertise, right? Like there are lots of open conferences in cybersecurity. So I would encourage you to kind of like start attending those and learning basic concepts of computer architecture, right? Like, and basic knowledge of Linux operating systems would definitely help. I think that would be the, I would say, an introductory way to get into ethical hacking. And there are lots of online courses on different platforms. So you have Coursera, edX. So I think those are also giving a very good platform to enter this area of ethical hacking.
Okay, the next one is, are there any apps that can help a common person identify cybersecurity threats? If so, how?
Well, the app that I would recommend all of you to have on your machine is Microsoft Defender. So that comes from my broader org, and I can tell you that we have the best researchers behind it. So please always have Microsoft Defender running. And the other thing that I would also recommend is we also have Defender for other devices as well. So we have Defender for Android, we have Defender for iOS. These are projects that I have been personally involved in. So I would highly recommend you to get those apps. But yeah, I mean, I would say other than that, having some basic hygiene, like keeping your firewall on, having multi-factor authentication, always taking a look at your emails. Like attackers use the fact that like nowadays it's all we all use mobile devices. So when you get an email, you don't carefully look at like who sent it. So like if they have a display name, only that's visible sometimes in mails, so you don't actually see the email address. So please take care in like looking at like who the email is coming from. Take a look at the components of an email, and be extremely careful about like opening links, right? Like you might even want to check with that person if they really sent you the link. So I would say like, having this basic hygiene would help a lot. And of course, please turn on your Microsoft Defender if you have a Windows machine.
Thank you, Dr. Arun. That was really enlightening. We thank you so much for participating and being with us this evening. And a good day to you, since you're on the other side of the world. The day is just begin for you. So have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Now we move on to our next speaker for the day. One more eminent speaker, Dr. Seema Pillai. Good evening, Dr. Seema. Speaking about Dr. Seema, she is a PhD in e-research and technology enhanced learning from Lancaster University, UK. She has completed her MSc Computer Science from the Calicut University, India. She has several certifications to her credit, like Level 4 Award in the External Quality Assurance of Assessment Process and Practice from Pearson, UK. She is currently the Senior Manager for Qualification Awards with KHTA. She is also the VTAC Executive Secretary Member, National Qualification Center from MOE. Speaking about her awards, she has been awarded the Best Speaker and Best Table Topics Award by the Toastmasters Club, Al-Khwarizmi chapter. She has also been awarded an appreciation letter for her CRM project implementation at Al-Khwarizmi International College. She has secured first rank in BSc Applied Sciences from Coimbatore Institute of Technology. She is also the recipient of the A.B. Raman Prize for Proficiency in English by Coimbatore Institute of Technology. Wow, that's a whole bunch of awards to you, Dr. Seema. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sudha, for a very kind introduction. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Great. So good evening, all. First, I would like to congratulate all, and I'm sure that you have done a fantastic job irrespective of the scores. This year has been really very difficult for all these learners, and I really appreciate the hard work and the resilience with which you would have had to adapt yourself to so many different unforeseen situations. So congratulations to all of you. So now that you have completed one phase of your life, and it is time for you to step into a next phase of your life, and it's time for you to make a very critical decision about your future career. Now you have to decide where to study, what to study, and which institution to join. So at this moment, I would like to draw your attention, and this decision is not at all easy, especially for now, because things are changing so rapidly around us. So what I suggest is that you will have to think differently when making this very important decision of your life. You cannot simply follow the footsteps of the seniors, as you are stepping into a completely different world that people wouldn't even have thought 2 years from before. So today I'm going to give you a focus on why Dubai could be your choice to build your future career. Now, for ages, you know that Dubai is known as a city of dreams, city of gold, and of recently, because of the different innovative inventions Dubai is involved in, it is also known as city of innovation, smart city, safe city, and a vibrant city. All of you must be aware that Dubai is going to host the Expo 2020 starting the 1st of October, which is just 55 days away. So Expo 2020 is built around 3 sub-themes: opportunity, mobility, and sustainability. Now, as we know that Dubai is considered to be a land of opportunities, opportunities is now there are different organizations from around the world who are going to come and have their pavilion here in Expo to showcase the recent developments and innovations which can contribute to the mankind, which meets the current needs and the future aspiration. Mobility will be a pavilion which is going to bridge the opportunity by connecting the people with goods, ideas, providing essential access to the knowledge and innovation. Now, for all this, the thing, what is the core is the sustainability. And if you look into the main theme of this whole session, which you have been having for the last 8 weeks, it is all talking about sustainable career. Now, we talk about sustainability in terms of protecting and preserving our environment for the future generation. Why would you consider Dubai as a city to get educated and build your career? There are multiple reasons for this. One of this could be there are so many small cities within this big city. There is Dubai Internet City, which is housed to the most prominent IT firms like Microsoft, IBM, Oracle, and many more. If you're a creative person, there is place for you, which is Dubai Studio City, Dubai Media City, Dubai Production City. And you all may be aware that Dubai has the 2 prominent airlines, which is Emirates and the Fly Dubai. So all activities around that is built around Dubai Airport Free Zone. There are 2 other areas which we have got a difference, that is Dubai Silicon Oasis Authority and Dubai Investment Park, where it is not only, it doesn't just have the organizations, but also there are educational institutions, there is a residential complex, warehouses, and so on. I will be talking a bit more about Dubai International Financial City shortly. And Jafsa, which is Jebel Ali Free Zone, you all know this is the most happening place wherein you have got the biggest industries and companies which has got their offices and industrial factories. So what makes Dubai a hub of education? The reason is that Dubai has got the maximum number of international branch campuses. Now, what we mean by international branch campuses are, these are the campuses of reputed universities and higher educational institutions, which is existing in other countries like America, Australia, Austria, France, India, Lebanon, Iran, Pakistan, and UK. If you compare with other countries like Singapore and Malaysia, you can see that Dubai as a single city has got 25 international branch campuses, which is a huge number. And of all these universities or higher education providers, you will find UK has the highest number, followed by Australia. So what makes it very unique about these international branch campuses is that the quality of delivery within these campuses are regulated and controlled or by Knowledge and Human Development Authority or Dubai Knowledge. Now, KHDA is the educational regulator, and that gives more confidence to the learners, because the programs which are being delivered here have the same standards as the standards in the home country. So this is an assurance by KHDA. Apart from these international branch campuses, there are also local universities which are ministry accredited. So let me give a little bit more. Tertiary education, it can be broadly classified into 2. We all talk about higher education institutions. And as I just explained, these higher education institutions can be classified into 2. One is the international branch campuses. There are 25 of them here in Dubai. And there is ministry accredited education institutions. There are 8 plus 3, around 11 institutions in Dubai. So what I want you to think differently is, it's not necessary, like generally the psychology of the students is that post-secondary, they have to go and start their career or start their education in a college, in a university, but there are alternative options as well. TVET is nothing but technical vocational education and training. There is a myth, or there is a, in our society, it is not well received. But I think this is one of the area which is being highly reputed and being given a lot of recognition in other countries like Germany. So we could also think, or you could also think that as an alternative education pathway. Now that again comes under, that can be classified into two. Like there are TVET institutions who offer international qualifications from international awarding body, for instance, Pearson, City and Guilds, or also from, it could be a national qualification, which is again from the Ministry of Education. And the department which looks into that is NQC, which is the National Qualification Center. Now, on your right, you can see a qualification framework. I'm not very sure how many of you are aware of the National Qualification Framework. Not all countries have these National Qualification Framework. UK qualification framework is very mature, and even UAE has a qualification framework. Why I bring this in this context is just for an awareness purpose, just to see that, how you can progress your learning opportunities, either taking a TVET route or taking a higher education pathway. Now, the ones in green, like level 1, let me first begin with the UK framework. So you have level 1, 2, and 3. These are the school levels. So if you have just completed your grade 12, which means it is at level 3, and you are now looking for a post-secondary qualification, which will be at level 4. So in a normal scenario, what you would do is that you will join you'll join a university to do the bachelor's degree. Can be in 3-year bachelor program, 4-year, or 5-year. But what happens is that you have to take a proper decision up front, because you don't have much opportunity to change tracks going forward. Very few programs do allow you the option of switching from one major to another, but probably in some cases it may not be the case. So whereas if you take a TVET pathway, the thing is you have got an exit qualification at each level. Like for instance, you have done your higher national certificate, you have an exit level. You do, or else you want to progress to the next level, then you could do that as well. At this context, I remember of the session which I attended, the second session, wherein Mr. Ayananka, who was a cinematographer, and he was talking about how you could take up a career as a cinematographer. Now, at that point, I remember there was a very smart boy who asked a question, that is it fine if we can do a self-study without going to a college, and I can master the skills myself? The recommendation was to continue in a educational settings. Now, for those kind of learners, I think a vocational track will be a better option, because you are developing a skill and you have an option of deciding at what level you want to go ahead and develop those skills. You can take a break, you can come back and do your next level. It's up to you. So that's a very good example of where this can be very useful. So similar to that, in the UAE context, you have got this, there is diploma, advanced diploma, and parallelly there is the bachelor, master's, and doctoral degree. So why exactly there is a surge in the TVET education sector recently? I just want to highlight that people who require a lot of upskilling and reskilling. The easiest and the best way to achieve that is through the vocational stream. And the UNESCO strategy 2016-2021 does focus on equipping all youth and adults with the skills required for employment, decent work, entrepreneurship, and lifelong learning. I can say that there is around 130 providers offering TVET programs, which was not which itself shows the the reason why it is being so recognized and people have started adopting it. And there is one one TVET college also from UK, which is offering the program. Now, as I said, the things are changing so rapidly. You have to always keep yourself up to date and you have to keep progressing. So what is an alternative lifelong learning option? You all have been doing probably small little courses when you are in school, and you may have received some few certificates for that as well. But what are these type of certificates? What actually is it credit bearing? Is it non-credit bearing? You know, these are the things that you may not know at this, you would have never thought about, or is it going to contribute to my learning in future? So to keep all these things in consideration, micro-credentials is a new concept which is emerging nowadays, which is more industry specific, like Microsoft certifications. There are many of you, would have heard about it. Some of you have even done some of these certifications, and you would have seen about the digital badges. Now, what is digital badge? It's actually nothing but it's a new means of recognizing and certifying individuals' credentials. And the best part of this is that it is visual, it's a visual representation, but the most important thing is it could be verified online. So there are, the advantage with this micro-credentialing is that you can also have the metadata in it, which says like who has issued these badges, who endorses these badges, is it industry recognized, what was the criteria for the basis of which you have earned this badge. And I think that, and also there are options of renewing this credentials from year to year. Like for instance, you have earned a badge a year back, but then things have changed. You have done some additional things to update yourself. So that can be updated and you could receive a revised badge. So which is something which is new and that you can look forward to. And I really encourage that whichever stream you take, you always think of updating yourself with the latest by identifying the different micro-credentials available in the market. Talking about Dubai is always known for new innovations and initiatives. If you look at the Dubai Future Foundation initiatives, you will find a lot of different options. And I would specifically like to focus on Dubai Future Council. And in that, there are so many different initiatives. I would like to focus on AI Lab, blockchain, and DIFC FinTech Hive. So what's AI Lab? AI Lab is a first of its kind artificial intelligence, a lab for accelerating Dubai towards becoming the smartest city in the world, established in partnership with IBM. AI Lab is working with growing network of partners from across government and private sectors for implementing the AI services and applications. And I really enjoyed the session which we had just before this from Dr. Arun Gururajan, who had given a fantastic explanation of how AI could be, could be a potential career and how it is contributing towards the security aspect. That was really fascinating. Another initiative is the development of blockchain strategy, platform, and the policy. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Honorable Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE, and the ruler of Dubai, set forth his vision to make the smart city initiatives, which is led by the Smart Dubai City Office, in short SDO. So what SDO has adopted is a blockchain to enable technology, and the first to adopt this technology was Dubai Land Department. In 2020, the Economic Times reported that Dubai has become the world capital of blockchain development, having implemented around 24 use cases across 8 industrial sectors, which includes education, real estate, tourism, finance, commerce, health, transportation, and security. So as we say, security is one of the most important sector. Another interesting initiative is that from Dubai International Financial Center, which is DIFC FinTech Hive. I hope you have heard the terms like FinTech, InsurTech, RegTech. If not, I would really recommend you to do a bit of research on these. These initiatives provide access to accelerator programs, mentorship from leading financial institutions and insurance partners. So in a nutshell, you can get an exciting platform to innovate and be an entrepreneur. Now, there is a drive to make most of the people as entrepreneurs because you understand that the situation through which we are going through right now, there is a lot of unemployment, and this is a time when you can become creative and start up your own startup of your own business. And these kind of platforms are very, very helpful in this context. You would have also heard about probably 1 million Arab coders, which was a program introduced in collaboration with Adversary. And recently, you would have heard that those who have completing the Arab coders, they will be given preference for this UAE Golden Visa. Now, UAE Golden Visa is a very, very attractive thing for most of the learning community because it gives you a 10 years visa, and it is given to those who have very outstanding performance, not necessarily an outstanding performance academically, but you can do something creatively. You can do, as we have seen, the previous speaker has got so many patents. So you can do something innovative, and you can be blessed to have a UAE Golden Visa as well. So as I said, there is a lot of opportunities. All you have to do is look at your area of interest and decide what you want to, move forward with. So all I would say is that be the change you wish to see in the world. Thank you very much. I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Seema. A very enlightening session this is, because you have cleared so many doubts. Like today, because of COVID and many other things, children are looking forward for many options, especially in UAE. And UAE has opened up so many channels for us to be over here, continue our studies. Like you mentioned about the Golden Visa, so many things are there. Thank you so much for elaborately explaining all this. There's a question for you. We'll take up 1 or 2 questions because there are so many. So the remaining we will answer through chat, obviously because of time constraint.
I agree.
Yeah. How do we convince the employer that you are a competent candidate with vocational degree skills compared to a branded top-ranked regular university?
I think that's a very interesting question. Yes. That's a very interesting question because it is not just that the mindset of the students have to change, the mindset of the employees also needs to change. And here in Dubai, we have been really working towards achieving that objective through various methods. I can just tell you one thing that very shortly we are going to KHD is going to launch a TVET law, which is going to give more power to the TVET provisions within Dubai. And also this might encourage more of the organizations to recognize and accept learners. Another point I wanted to bring to your attention is that at the ministry level, we have the National Qualification Center. Earlier, it was known as National Qualification Authority, who were the one who developed the qualification framework. Now, once they have moved within the ministry, this happened only last year, towards the end of last year. So now they have come up with so many different, policies and reforms, and which will be, introduced or brought to the general public shortly. It's too early for me to comment on those things in the current scenario. But I'm very optimistic that this is allowing the institutions and learners to switch from TVET to higher education and higher education to TVET. So those options will also be there. And that's definitely going to be very helpful because some start with a higher education qualification and they feel that they can't cope and they want to do something else. So that switching is possible. And once this is achieved, they're also going to encourage more and more TVET providers to be a registered training provider with them. And what this means is that the qualification that you get will be attested by the Ministry of Education. And once it is being attested by Ministry of Education, definitely the organizations are going to welcome you.
Absolutely.
Hope that clarifies.
Yeah, definitely. And like you rightly said, with the interversions that you have said, so many outlooks, our students will be surely encouraged to become more entrepreneurs with the opportunities being provided over here.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Seema, for being with us this evening.
I thank the whole SIF members for giving this fantastic opportunity. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I invite Srinath ji to take over the session.
Thank you so much, Radhika ji. Thank you, Dr. Arun and Dr. Seema, for your wonderful insights that you shared with the students. I'm sure the students throughout the series, they have learned a lot of information. They have got a lot of exposure about what our career opportunities are, going to be the future in the next 20 to 30 years. So I'm sure it's the students have really benefited out of it. And one important component that is important for any student to impress, let's say, if an institution, if you want to join into an institution, or probably if you want to join into your dream job, uh, an important tool that you require is a CV. And for that, last session, we announced a competition where we requested the students to send in your CVs, and that will be reviewed by our eminent panel of judges, and an award will be given for the best CV. Now, the basic motto here is to just make you understand what are the important components that you need to focus on while building a CV. And for that, we will start with the presentation. We got nine students volunteered to send us your CVs. We are going to display that for you, and our career expert Sudhaji will go through these CVs, and will talk about certain examples, what you can do better in there, what is an exceptional component in that CV which stands out, and all such details. So I request Vedavyas to please share the presentation, please.
Yes, thanks, Reena ji. And first of all, thank you, children. You had been an immense support to us because of your participation, which makes us think, in more wider angles, how to give you the best of the best information and support possible. It's overwhelming to see, such young students preparing your own CV, trying to fit in as much as information as possible. I tell you honestly, even for me or any other person, any other person building their career, even in their 40s, it is really challenging how to tailor make your CV to get employed in that particular company where you're interested or not. So you are doing an amazing job, which we haven't done in our times. So that is the aim of the Science India Forum Career Guidance Program, wherein we want to make you start things much earlier. I think you all watched Gulf. You would have seen the Gulf News magazine today. Did you? Those who have seen that would have seen a column on Ahad Kot. I'm just having it in my mobile. Probably those who have not seen, please see. He is an award-winning Dubai student. He has co-founded a consulting firm, and he has advised 20 startups. Who is he? A student from Dubai International Academy. And he has, I just was so curious about it. I went to it, went through the thing. Then I found that he has his own LinkedIn profile. To be frank, many of us did not have, such things until the need for us to, switch to a better career or to impress your, future employer, or to know the trends in the industry. Think a student who is studying has not only aced many competitions. He has he is now an entrepreneur, and he has started his own consultancy firm. Not just started, He has advised around 20 startups. So what is he basically doing? He's developing a skill set. And how do you know each one of you is developing your skill set and you are in the right track? I told you about the RISEC test. I told you about some, an Excel sheet that, helped you in the academic skills. What one more thing can add up? That is the CV. If you see, how great of Ramya, to just showcase all your important stuff. You will not have as many bullet points as a person with 10 years of experience in the industry, but the minimum things that you need to have a portfolio, we can say it as a portfolio. Okay, so you need to have the basic, who are you, about me, that gives a better understanding of who are you, what you intend to do, and what is the education, and what are your goals, aspirations, achievements, your skills, and a minimum contact. So you see, Curie again has made her CV, and you see, like, it's all the same content, and how she has put it in a different way. Can we have the next slide? So you go through Abhinraj Bhaskaran's thing. He has given again about him, his education, his professional skills. And one thing, if I look from here, what adds, it certainly, attracts me when I see that he's a student intern already. He's in grade 12 and he is doing his internship. Okay. And if you see some of his recognitions, I'm not comparing individually, it depends on each one of you, what kind of awards you're winning, what you're good at, but certain things that are captivating. He has tried to be a holistic player in different sectors, right from he has taken a NASA training, and he has done a remote sensing thing, and he has also I think it is slightly blurred, and he has done, participated in the Guinness World Record for AI for Youth Symposium along with other people. So it's a holistic CV, and again he has made it colorful, and he has used some kind of infographics to, so it's okay for a student, rather than just saying your percentage dot on dot, he has made it overall good CV. Again, Rida is our popular candidate and participant of this career guidance event, and she has also made a very good impressive CV. Just look at her CV, right? You try to know about a person just from one piece of paper without having had interacted. It portrays what kind of personality you are, and how it personally helps you is you keep editing this then and there, and that pushes you to take up more and more activities to build your CV. It can be either social volunteering, it can be attending as many seminars and programs as possible, it can be participating in as many competitions as possible, and taking part in internship, whatever it is. Okay. Next, I think these are the CVs. Yeah, Anish, again, do you see this candidate? He has participated in our Shastra Pratibha contest. We are proud to say it, which is Science India Forum's contest. He has also he has not given us detail of which grade he is in. Okay, we just know that he is doing it Bright Riders School. Probably looking at the face, he looks young. Probably he should be in his middle school, but good. He has done quite a good job with. No, this is very good from a middle school child to come out. And any more, Srinath? Yeah. This is such a sweet one. A grade 9 student from GEMS, our own school. Again, see how they have really tried. Neha is again, she has tried to get her CV. And I think you would have become confident by now. This is what I want the rest of the 100 children to do. Please start having it during your vacation. Have a skeleton. See, again, Gabriela has done it. She is again from grade 9 of Gulf Asian English School, Sharjah. And hers is, I would say, it is very neatly presented. Okay. And it is a standard in a CV that anybody would do even. And so much of accolades. Here we have the grade 10 student, Shekina. Okay. And it's a listing of your achievements. It can be little more impressive while while you get it scrutinized by a person. So all these CVs were sent to one of our well-wishers, CEO of Gulf Oasis Insurance Brokers. He congratulated each one of the student for their CV building school, skills. And Srinathji will be announcing the winner of this CV contest soon. Over to you, Srinathji.
Thank you, Sudhaji. Once again, thank you for all the students to taking your time and sending out the CV. We really appreciate that. So now moving on, it's time to felicitate the winners of various competitions that we had. We had 7 different internal competitions and one today. So we are going for that. I request our SIF UAE president to felicitate them. And I also request Veda Vyasan to please announce the list of winners for each session. And as and when Veda Vyasan announces the winners, I request, if the winner is there today, is participating today, I request you to please switch on your video so that we all can see you. So Veda Vyasan, could you please read out the list of winners?
Okay, so we have so far conducted 7 quiz competitions, and we have already announced winner for 6, and 1 is due, that will also be announced in due course. So starting with the first session, the first session winner was Ayman. Ayman, if you are available in the participant list, please, if you could on your video.
Ayman, if you are there, could you please raise your hand, or could you say that you are here? Could you acknowledge?
Okay, Srinath, I think he's not here. So moving on to the second session, it was winner Manas Katuria. So Manas, if you're available, I would humbly request you to raise your hand or on your camera so that our President, Dr. Satish Ji, can felicitate you. Srinath, I got a message from Manas now.
Yeah,
please.
Manas is already here. I can see Manas. You can read out the others' name also so that we can put everyone on screen.
And to all our members and the new people who have joined today. So after second session, we were also very surprised because the winner of the third session, fourth and fifth is Rida Harris. She won hat-trick. So Rida, if you are here on the screen, please come forward.
Yes, sir, I'm here. Thank you, sir.
Hi, Rida. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Which grade are you in, Rida?
Sir, I'm in grade 10.
Which school?
Global Indian School, Ajman.
Oh, your school must be mighty proud. You have done great. Yeah. And what do you want to become? What's your goal?
Sir, I would like to become an aeronautical engineer.
Any specific reason for choosing that?
Sir, I have always been inspired to Sir APJ Abdul Kalam's books. I have read from many of his books, and one of my favorite books is Wings of Fire. So I have been greatly inspired by that book.
But then you know that he was not an aeronautical engineer, right?
Yes, sir, but he used to support being an aeronautical engineer.
Okay, so you want to go into space programming, or you want to become a commercial aeronautical engineer?
So, commercial aeronautical engineer.
Okay, all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Satish Ji, with that being said, I also want to give another surprise to Rida. Rida is also the winner for our 7th session. So she has won 4 times. Congratulations again, Rida. And the good thing about the 7th session is we got only one correct answer. That's only from you.
Wow.
So we also have Asim with us. Asim won one of the competition, and also for today's the CV review competition, Abhinraj's CV impressed our judge the most. So Abhinraj is also there live right now. Thank you,
Can you post
Abhinraj.
that CV again? Can you post that CV again?
Yes, Vedresh, could you just share the screen?
Okay. The first, okay. He's in class 12. He's doing his internship, right?
Hi, sir.
Hi, Abhinraj.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
We read from your CV that you're already doing an internship.
I am currently doing an internship, sir. Yes.
In what?
Sir, AWS.
What is that?
The Amazon's web service. It's like a cloud service. Yes, sir.
Great. And what do you want to do? You are in grade 12, right?
Yes, sir.
So what are you aspiring to become?
Aspiring for becoming a data scientist, sir.
Any specific reason, or you've been interested in this from?
Sir, I've been in love with computers from since 12 years now, and I aspire to be with my computer all time and every time. And I think data scientists would actually guarantee me that.
That's great.
Yes.
What are your other co-curricular activities? Anything that you do?
Sir, I have been the gold medalist of 2019 interstate karate competition.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Interstate karate competition of UAE or?
Sir, UAE.
Oh, great.
Then small time, I mean the Blue House captain in our school. Like we are having a 15,000 population school. So I'm like delighted to become a captain of it.
Okay,
then
you are in the Sharjah Indian school?
Yes, sir, Sharjah Indian school.
Because I guess that from the number of students that you said. Is that still the largest school of the world, student-wise?
No, sir. I might say it could be of UAE, maybe for UAE itself, like not the world, sir. I think there's a school in Tokyo which occupies more than 100,000. So in comparison to that, our school is a very small school.
South Point in Calcutta or Kolkata, as they say now, it sometime back had 35,000 students actually, but then it got broken up into many. I think somewhere you read about Sharjah Indian School as one school, because South Point got broken up into many parts, like the kindergarten, the pre-primary, the primary, the middle school, and they branched out. So it was not one campus.
So now it's two campuses.
You have two campuses, yeah.
Yes, boys wing and girls wing, about 25 kilometers apart. So it's quite two schools.
Yeah, so anyway, congratulations.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. And I see that you got a NASA route t-shirt that you're wearing.
Yeah, it's the ATX, the astronaut training experience, 2018.
Okay, great. Congratulations once again. And all the best for the future.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you, kids. Foremost, what is important is your willingness to participate. So when the competition was rolled out, I appreciate that all of you participated. So winning, of course, is important, but the most important thing is to participate. First of all, I thank every students for participating in the competition that we posted. And Dr. Satish, your words of wisdom to these students, to being a very senior neurosurgeon.
it's very exciting to have young minds and young people join us since we are catering to them. But seeing them live, seeing them on at least through these social media, through this internet, evokes a sense of excitement in even old people like me. I went through these career guidance as if I was going to apply for a new career, and every time I heard many of these careers, I felt that, oh, why I didn't choose them. Every career that you choose, let's start with some basics. Basically, first and foremost, you need to be in love with the career that you're going to choose. Do not choose a career because somebody else tells you. Do not choose a career because your parents dreamt of being somebody and they couldn't become, and so it is passed on to you as a second-hand thing, so that you fulfill their dreams. No, you fulfill your own dreams. When you talk of dreams, dream very big. Don't dream small. Aim for the stars, and you might reach the moon. That's good. Do not give your dreams away. Also remember that you can change your dreams. It's not necessary that you stick to a dream that you start off with. Somewhere along the way, you think that you've got a better dream coming up. Do not be scared to face the challenges and say that, okay, I need to deviate from my original dream, but do not deviate too many times, because time is essence. You've got only a span of so many years that you can work for, maybe 30 years. So do not just waste your time going from this to that. The other thing that I would say is that people keep telling, oh, the poor fellow is hardworking, the poor fellow is not got no time, the poor fellow is not eating properly. All these things you will hear from your parents because they want the best for you. But then you cannot become anyone unless you are stressed out, unless you are willing to do sacrifices, unless you sacrifice many things in life. Nothing comes easy in life, especially not careers. Yes, if you're born with a golden spoon, you don't need to work for it. That's a different thing. But if you're working towards a career, which is your passion, then go for it. You will have to make lots of sacrifices. You would not be, and remember that do not try to compare yourself to others, basically. No career is, no specialty is comparable to other, and no specialty is above or below any other thing. The one that you choose is the best for you. So do not compare and say that, oh, my schoolmate is making, it's got already a career, he's got a college placement, and he's going to earn so much. Do not work for money. Yes, you need money. You will get the money, provided you are honest, committed, and passionate in your work. What is most important in any career that you choose is your commitment. If you have less than 100% commitment, be sure that you're not going to make it, basically. You may be an average student, you may be an average person, which all of us are, but then it's your commitment towards that goal that will soar you and score above the other person who may be much more brilliant, much more naturally endowed with intelligence, but lacking in commitment. And commitment is something which every employer wants to look in his employee. If you are committed, then they know that you can make up with you can learn the skills while at the job, while at your career, if you're committed. But if you have a lot of skills and you're not committed and you're not willing to put in the hard work, then that is of no use to anybody else, basically. If I have a head full of knowledge and I'm not going to use it for the benefit of my profession, in my case, my patients, it's no use, basically. If I have limited knowledge, but I'm 100% committed, then I would try to find out ways in which I can enhance my skills, enhance my knowledge, so that I give the best to my patients. Enjoy your work. Do not think it as a chore that needs to be done. And try to find happiness within your work. You would find happiness, whatever work that you're going to take up, whatever career that you're going to take up, you definitely will find happiness if you have the passion for it. Also, try to find areas which are going to be stress busters for you. Could be anything. It could be reading. It could be watching movies. It could be going for walks. It could be certain elements in your personality that you are a sports person. You like to take up certain sports. The other thing is try to keep fit, because when you are young, nothing matters because of the age and the health that you are endowed with. But remember that every career is going to take a stress on your, it's going to take a toll on your health. And so as youngsters, I would request you to look after your health very well, because if you have the best of knowledge, if you have the best of skills, and you're not healthy, you're not going to be doing any justice to both of these traits in your armamentarium. So health is very important. Keep looking after your health, whichever way you think is fit. It may be swimming, it may be walking, it may be hiking, it may be cycling, but do find some time every day, at least few minutes, 30 minutes to 1 hour, or at least 5 days or 6 days a week. Have a routine. Fix up a routine which you could fix up. There are people who are early risers. There are people who work up late. It's up to you to choose which way you want to go about it, but then stick to it. Do not yo-yo with your timings. As long as you fix your timings to suit your mental makeup and your inner clock, then that's okay. And I would say that do not focus all your time onto your career. Take breaks, which are very important. Stay focused and be responsible citizens of whichever country you are serving, but also think of your own motherland, which nurtured your parents to bring you to this level. So think of being a conscious citizen. Think of being a conscious citizen of the world. Always think what you can do for the society, what you can give back in whichever field you are. There will be many fields that you can always give up back to India. India is poised to becoming the numero uno country of the world, and definitely your skill set will be a big asset to our country, so that less fortunate children benefit from your gains and the things that you develop, and the skill set that you have, you give it back to the country. Never forget your motherland, but be citizens of the world. All the best, and thank you all for being with us. Encourage your peers, encourage your juniors to be associated with Science India Forum, for letting us help you build excellent careers and enjoy your time as students while you are in UAE. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Doctor, for this such an inspirational speech for the children. You covered a lot of important things that youngsters needs to keep in mind. So now moving on, I request all the participants to please switch on your camera so that we can take a click and to remember the success of this wonderful career guidance series. Request everyone to please switch on your camera for a minute. we will take a
Srinath,
screenshot.
if we can ask one or two of them to share their thoughts on how they felt about this whole thing.
Yeah,
if anybody want to volunteer?
Yes, actually, that is there in the agenda.
Okay.
We're going to do it towards the end for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So students, could you please switch on your camera, and I think Vedavyas, once we are ready. So I think Vedavyas, we are ready. We have all switched on the camera. I can see some more. Request all the children to please switch on the camera for just a minute. So Vedavyas, are we done?
Was it a group photo?
Yeah, it's a gallery view. We just took a gallery view with all the faces, all the beautiful faces.
Okay, great. That's a great thing.
All right. So thank you so much, children. And so moving on, I request our General Secretary of SIF UAE, Dr. Subhash Nair, to speak about our future Science India Forum initiative, so that you all can participate and benefit out of it.
Thank you, Srinath. I hope I'm audible. Yes. What a fantastic end to the program. I think every bit of this program was so useful. I can get, personal suggestions and personal feedback from many people I know. And of course, from all of you are today present. It was a fantastic session. Each and every session, I think, was useful for you. So now this is a testimonial of how Science India Forum is working day and night and thinking about how we can devise programs, to help the young people to come up in the field of science. So having said that, I just wanted to give you a brief about what is coming next. So is this over with this? The answer is no. So there are a lot more programs coming up. And I think one of the best program that's coming up is the Shastra Pratibha contest. Now, what is Shastra Pratibha contest? It is an online, multiple choice question based examination where you will be asked question from your science syllabus. But apart from that, you get a chance to go through the content which highlights India's contribution to science, which you don't learn in your syllabus otherwise. So what you gain out of it is an ample amount of historical information up from the ancient India to what has recently been published in the field of science from India. So I think this is a good opportunity for everyone. I encourage you to go and talk to your friends, go to sifuae.com and register for this examination. Once you get registered and you appear and you are one of the top 16 winners, so it's from the grade 5 to grade 12. So if you are one of the 16 SPs or Shastra Pratibhas, as we say, if the circumstances are good, we take you to one of the premier institutes back in India, which can be like ISRO, IIC, UD City, and so, DRDO, and so on. So it's a very, very prestigious examination and equally a golden opportunity for all of you, to get acquainted with our very, very strong historical scientific heritage. So that's coming up. I think the registration will close somewhere in mid of September. So go to SIF UAE website from Monday, because our website is under migration. So go on Monday and register yourself. Okay, that's number one. Number two is the National Children's Science Congress, which is a national level competition on science, where students from all over India are grouped together and make a project based on a particular theme of that year. And then they have to compete at the district level, at the state level, and then come to the national level. So we as SIF UAE are privileged to be partnered or to be granted the authority to select 2 teams from UAE to go back to India and contest with the other participants in India. So I think the emails have gone to all the teachers, all the schools, You can contact your science teachers. If you need any information, contact any one of us to see how it is. The last date of registration is September 15th, and I think you have some time for abstract submission as well. And what you need to do is all clear in the instructions given, but then try to get into a project mode and try to be a scientist at this age. That's what we are trying to inculcate or encourage. Now, these two are the upcoming programs. Apart from that, you can expect some National Day celebrations, scientific Indian scientist birthday celebrations with some programs, contests, and so on. And then lastly, want to introduce two more programs that will come up this year. One of the program is based along with the 75th Independence Day celebration of India. So it is called the Swatantrata Ke Amrut Mahotsav, and we as Science India Forum is planning to have a quiz competition. So that information will also come out in our website and will be sent to all schools. It will be a very fantastic, one of the very competitive quiz competition, wherein from all the Emirates we select the best one for a national level contest. So be prepared for that. And the next one we are coming up is called the Big R. The Big R means the how to reuse, how to recycle. It's all about sustainability. One of the key word that will take us to the next level of future. So we want children to think about reuse, sustainability, not for a day, but for a period of some months, and then bring up some activities or projects and submit to us for a good competition at a UAE level. So these are glimpses of some of the programs. We will keep you updated on our Facebook, on our Instagram, on our Twitter. It's very easy to find us on all these platforms. Do log in and do follow us so that you're updated on a daily basis. And then I'll try to post all the links at the end in the chat so that you can go directly and join those. So be as participative as you were in this program for all the future programs, and we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Subhash. I request Veda Vyasan, Joint Secretary SIF Dubai, to please take over for the feedback session and the vote of thanks.
Just enough. Children, so as part of the career guidance series, we are again going back to our mentee. So please go to your log in with your mentee.com, and we have given a code. So give your feedback so that we can see your feedback live on the screen. And this will remain anonymous as well. So you can give your honest feedback. Where can we improve? What was a area of improvement, as well as what went on well. So this will able to make us a more and much better program for the next year. So log into your mentee.com and your code will be 66806599. Please, you can give your feedback now. Log into mentee.com and use your code 66806599. We can see the feedback coming in. It was good and informative, deeply insighted. Thank you so much. I could explore different careers beyond my knowledge. Thanks. Yeah, we are trying to bring a lot of other speakers in our next year session as well. We will do the same. Any areas of improvement, children? This will really help us. You can give your feedback. All the sessions were very good. They really helped me to go in the right direction. I was very confused what career to go with, but this sessions have shown me all the different careers I can pursue. Yes, thank you. We are also motivated to give more such sessions. Try including more offbeat carriers for advice. Definitely, we are taking note of it. We will try to bring speakers from offbeat carriers. This year we have Ainan and we have from wildlife also. So we will try to explore that option. Thank you for that feedback. Sessions we good flight attendants, fashion designer, chefs, etc. Definitely we are taking note of them. Definitely can give your feedback as soon as I will not close the screen, but in another minute I will stop sharing my screen and we'll move to the last part of the session, that is the vote of thanks. But you can continue giving your feedback so that it is receiving at the back end and we can improve our performance and continue our good deeds to the younger generation. Yes, prizes, at least two. I know Rida was wrapping up all the prizes. Definitely we will try it next time with that. We are noting down. These words were really motivating us to do more kind of program, and thank you, children, for this. I'm going to stop sharing the screen, but you can give your honest feedback. This will be noted once again, I'm saying, and this will remain anonymous. There won't be any repercussion or something. You can give your honest feedback. Okay, with that, we are coming to the last part of the session. That's an official vote of thanks, though we have said a lot of thanks to all the speakers and all the participants. So I, Vedavyasan, on behalf of Science India Forum and my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all speakers for gracing our career guidance series with your valuable insight to motivate our next generation. I want to extend my generous thanks to the ruler of this benevolent nation of their support and cooperation as well. A big thank you to our sponsors, BIT Pilani Dubai Campus, UK College of Business and Computing, Gulf Medical University, Macadamia, Manipal University Dubai, Gulf Oasis Insurance Brokers, Future Intelligence, without which we would not be able to conduct such a grandeur event for the benefit of students. Thank you, sponsors. Further, I must mention our deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for Abgaji, our Middle East VIBA coordinator, Satish Ji, our SAF UAE president, Mohanji, our SAF UAE vice president, Dr. Subhash Ji, our general secretary of UAE, and all our chapter presidents, secretaries, and all our members. Well, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheel starts rolling months ago. It requires a planning and bird eye view of details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated members of SAF, led by Sri Sudhaji, supported by Sri Radhika Ji, Sri Srinath Ji, Sri Tulasi Ji, Sri Panni Selvam Ji, Sri Sandhya Ji. I cannot thank everyone enough for the involvement and the willingness to take on completion of tasks beyond their comfort zone. Last but not the least, I may like to express our sincerest thanks to our enthused crowd of students for pushing us to give you more with energetic participation and question. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening. See you soon with another wonderful program from SAF with SPC lined up already for September 2021. Thank you all.